Beabadoobee, 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 Beabadoobee. Welcome to my messy bedroom. Do not look underneath this curtain. Hey, do you wanna listen to one of my songs? Action. What's up? I'm Beabadoobee, aka Beatrice, and I play music. So loud, sorry. Beabadoobee. That's how you say it. The worst pronunciation, they somehow put like poop into it and I thought it was on purpose, so I just kind of rated it from them. Or people say I'm Beababoobies, and someone made a sign, Beababoobies! I didn't flash my tits. I grew up in West London. I was born in Iloilo, Philippines, and I moved here when I was 3. It's me as a kid in my old house. Do you want me to leave it there so you focus? See, like, I go out the DP and now it's like, I thought I was gonna be a nun for a really long time. My mom showed me the sound of music. And I was like, nuns, all they do is just like live with each other and like sing. When I was 7, I was like really intelligent, and then I fell down the stairs and then I just lost all capability of academics. I just got really stupid and I couldn't do maths. But then I started being really good at the violin. Lost some brain cells, gained some music cells. Well, I went to a private school in the Philippines, and I think it's quite different from the public schools because they kind of let you do whatever the fuck you want. It's actually quite bad. I just remember not really learning anything and just having lots of fun and eating loads of food and getting really fat. I can think of a funny time when I did, it was like a talent show. It wasn't really a talent, it was a class talent show. And I sang 7 Things I Hate About You by Miley Cyrus a cappella. No backing track, in the middle of the class in front of everyone. Full on dance moves and angst. My room is so messy. This is kind of this is an insight to my life. I went through a phase where I just like refused to listen to music on my phone and just listen to music on a fucking Walkman, because I thought I was edgy. Be on like Hammersmith and City Line and be like, Beatopia on cassette. I felt like everyone was gonna think it was weird that I chose the color green, but I thought it was kind of funny because it looked like snot. This was during the time in year 9 when I was like so depressed. No, there's loads of pages in this book where it's like, I hate him. There's this page. It's just so sad. There's like weird drawings. It's black, for fuck's sake. It's sad because that was just before I got really sad. She had no idea what was coming, huh? I've always had lots of self-esteem issues growing up. As an Asian woman in London, people were very mean, a lot of like backhanded racist comments. When I grew up, it was like one extreme to the other. It was like Asian hate to Asian fetishization, which was really weird, and I just couldn't find like a good in between. It definitely takes a lot of time and maturing and to learn to appreciate your culture and how you look and your like family traditions. It makes you different, but in a good way, not in a way that you should hide or you should be embarrassed about. Cute outfit. I'd wear that coat, I'd wear that skirt, and I totally wear pink tights. I wore this for the Last Day on Earth music video. Vintage Dior. Don't know anything about brands. I'm just like, oh, it looks cute. These are my shoes, but not all of my shoes, because there's some shoes downstairs. These are my favorite ones. John Fluvog, and they just look like princess shoes. They're so cute, like dolly shoes. And the back reminds me of primary school for some reason, I don't know why. Music was my first job. I went to Camden, and I went in all the stores and asked if I could work for anyone, and they all said no. So the first job I had was when I actually got signed and started making music at 18. So Gretchen made these guitars called Princesses so they can encourage more girls to play guitars. There's not a lot of female producers. Not a lot of women on tour. A song on Beatopia is the first time I actually wrote a song about how I feel about that, and it's called Ripples. I've got a lot of people I want to go on tour with. Taylor Swift. Elliott Smith would love this shit. And then we'd write a song afterwards about Filipino food. I chose to wear something quite loose because I know I was gonna bloat. I remember when I started making music for the first time, my parents thought it was a joke. My mum was much more chiller because she was like super into Madonna and Boy George when she grew up, bless her. And she showed me all like the bands I listen to now. I remember her first showing me Nirvana when I was 7 and me watching it and being like, oh my God, this is Satan music. I'm to order vegetable spring roll, chicken wings, kubo fried rice, chicken adobo, pancit chicken. I'm really scared because I don't eat the middles of my meats. I don't eat the middles of donuts. I leave the rim just around the middle. My dad was like really crazy into cholesterol and stuff, and like you cannot eat the yolks of eggs. So every time I'd go in for the yolks of eggs, no, anak, high cholesterol. My mom would feed me the chicken. She'd miss out the middle, and my dad would get so angry. Like, you can't just feed Bea the skin. I only want the skin. Yeah. I have this thing where every time I eat seafood, it feels like they're like swimming in my stomach. For some reason, mushrooms remind me of like human ears. I could do shrooms, but not mushrooms. I had like teeth extraction. I just had like a teeth surgery and I couldn't smoke. So I'd have to get edibles, ube edibles. Freaking delicious. It gets you high, it does the job. Doritos nachos preparados. Oh my fuck. It's just the best chicken wings I've ever had in my life. I'm eating the middles. I love chicken wings, and I'm really picky with chicken wings. Pho, great chicken wings. One time they banned their chicken wings, and I called every single shop in London. I was like, where the fuck are your chicken wings? Filipino culture is just so different from English culture in terms of like how they treat their families and like the food they eat and like what they do on the weekends, like shit like that. So that was quite strange. Also, like, being friends with loads of white people and going out with a lot of white boys. So that was a crazy cultural difference. And like, I remember my dad going home one day and my dad watching the football, and he never watched the fucking football. And I was like, why are you watching the football? He was like, this country accepted us, so I have to understand their culture. It was obviously quite hard. My parents moved to a country they've never, ever been before, and they had to start from scratch. Ultimately, that was hard on them, and if it's hard for them, that's gonna be hard on me. And fitting in school was quite difficult. The typical, like, Asian group in secondary school that I was in, it was really hard to find common ground with them. I love my culture, but there was a lot of differences. They didn't understand that. They didn't listen to the same music. So I found an amazing group of girls that can, you know, accept me for who I am. We used to do this thing, my dad, this is so stupid now that I think about it, but my dad used to make me the craziest Filipino food for school and pack it in like a thermos. And I'd eat that shit in the form room because I'd be too embarrassed to eat in the lunch hall, which is stupid because now if I pulled up in school with a freaking thermos with rice and chicken adobo, I'd be like, yeah, check this out, motherfuckers. When you're a kid and you are in such a predominantly white environment, you know, you feel like an alien. You grow up and you realize that's stupid and that you're actually cool as fuck, so. The problem with growing up in a strict household is that, you know, you create quite rebellious kids. Guitars being thrown. And you have the stereotypical teenage angst where you just are a bitch, basically. That makes me really sad that I used to be mean to my parents. They're really lovely people. I think it definitely takes time for very like traditional, like first generation Filipino parents to like accept who you are. Like I didn't tell my dad about my first boyfriend for a year. First time he wanted to meet him, he told me to bring him to church. This is my old book. It's on my old diary. Oh, it's like for songwriting. B's book for songwriting. Owner B, please return to B. Who is the best B? Underneath there is my address and it says, if found, cash prize. which is a lie. All the boys I have crushes on. Ducky from Pretty in Pink to the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Adrian Brody, I have taste. Timothy Chalamet's on there, but I've crossed him out. I've been teaching my boyfriend how to play guitar, and I've taught him how to play the Deftones, which is quite sweet. He's a cultured white boy, you know? We had something in the Filipino restaurant that I don't usually like, but my dad made a meat. He was like, yummy. I'm like, you don't have to eat it. He was like, what was that thing in that Filipino restaurant, chula chula? And I'm like, what? I'm like, chula chula, mocha mocha. I'm like, it's fucking halo halo. Do your research. For dessert, I want leche flan. Oh my fuck, it's warm. See how like, smooth that shit is? Crazy. Ube, holy fuck me. This is sick. This is the best day of my life. And turon. This is good turon. My dad will freak out. I feel like I'm in like MasterChef and someone like is giving me all their desserts to eat and I have like a little bite of every one. I'm like, great texture. People keep telling me I give off furry vibes. We go upstairs and there's a bin bag. Well, it's in the bin bag because it's from tour, not because I'm trying to throw them away. Of all the toys the kids at shows have given me, and I've kept every single one. This one's called Poop, because he just kind of gives poopy vibes. This is my Sully. I always get scared because it looks like he's got like a camera hidden behind his eyes. This is my red panda rug, because I love red pandas. My bassist, Aliana, who's also like my best friend, she collected all the flowers from the Fake It Flowers live session, and she pressed them, and she kept them, and she framed them. I got some paintings from fans. Someone made this for me, and I've got this random Polaroid of this couple, this cowboy hat they threw on stage at a show. They have no idea that this Polaroid of them is on my fridge. I got Electric Light Orchestra. Galaxy 500, which is where my TikTok name comes from, because my TikTok name is Noki 500, and I really love Noki, but I also really love Galaxy 500. Up there's some of my books. There's this Sonic Youth book that has every single one of Thurston Moore's tunings. Chibuddy G gave me this book. Chibuddy G, How to Be a Man. And this Jude Law book. Yeah. It's basically a book about how that he's not just a pretty face and he has talent. This is the book. This was like when I properly started writing loads. I've written most of my songs on this guitar. I started writing music as a way of, therapy. All the music that stemmed from Beatopia is from a place that I had for so long tried pushing under the rug and forgetting. I like when people say my music is nostalgic because it makes me feel like I know them a little bit. At the end of the day, I am a 22-year-old girl who has the exact same problems as other girls. I think when you have a platform, you should express what you feel and your opinion, and especially if it's a good one, especially if it's about politics. As much as social media can benefit a lot of people's careers and a lot of people in general, it can be very damaging, and a lot of people on the internet can be quite mean or judgmental. You're never going to have 100 amazing comments. There's always going to be one person disagreeing with you. There's always going to be one person that's going to say some shit, and I think it's something that you just have to build tough skin with. The people on the internet are not real, and they do not know who you are. The only people who know you are your family and your friends, really. So their opinion doesn't really matter. It'd be really jokes if you printed out some hate tweets. I would have totally loved to be like, fuck you, John. Can the sound guy hear my chewing? One time I did that, and then the mic was still on, and I took a wee. It was Abbey Road. I'm a chicken girl. Thank you, ID, for giving me, and the Filipino gods for giving me really yummy Filipino food. For free.